Hello everyone, in this video I'll be doing a Ranger Warlock multi-class build guide from Baldur's Gate 3. So these two classes actually kind of go together in certain ways. The Warlock Pact of the Blade will add an extra attack to any class that gets an extra attack, as long as you're not playing on honor mode. So we can get the 3 attacks at level 10, which is before a fighter can get 3 attacks. So this is a pretty strong class. Now, I would actually recommend starting as a Warlock. I find that the start for the Warlock is a little bit better than for the Ranger, so we're going to go with the Warlock here. And as for our cantrips, Eldritch Blast goes without saying. That's going to be our main damage cantrip. If you're the face of the party, take Friends to give yourself the advantage on concentration checks. Mage Hand and Minor Illusion are 2 other really great cantrips. And even Bone Chill is good to stop the target from healing until the next turn. I'm going to go with Minor Illusion for the purposes of this, because you can group enemies together to drop a fireball, or you can pull them out of a room and go explore it a little bit further. So, as for the subclass, I think the best one that works here is the Fiend. So the Fiend's more focused on damage, and we add our, when we take out a creature to 0 health points, we gain our Charisma modifier as health. So that's really nice. Charisma modifier plus our Warlock level. As for the spells that we're going to be taking at level 1, Arms of Hadar is good to stop the target from using reactions, but Hellish Rebuke can be a pretty good one, as well as Hex. Hex is not great for the ability checks, but this is a bonus action. You can add an additional 1d6 of necrotic damage, and if you got 3 Eldritch Blasts, that's 3d6 of damage extra, so that's always nice. But we're going to go with Hellish Rebuke. Armor of Agathis is also really great, 5 temporary health points and 5 cold damage, but we get temporary health points already, so I think it's best to go with either Hex and Hellish Rebuke, or take Command, because this can be a really good crowd control option. As for our ability score, I would say it's best to go with a high charisma. If you're the face of the party, use the Hag's Hair to take this up to 18, so that just takes care of that. If not, if you're using this on another character, I'd put it at 16. And we're going to have a good amount of dexterity as well as constitution. So we're kind of spread between these 3 stats. So you can take out points in other stats to bring it up a little bit higher. So 16 dexterity would be ideal, 14 constitution, 10 intelligence, 10 wisdom, 8 strength. We're going to go with something like that. As for skill proficiencies, you can keep it pretty much as is, or add in deception over history, because deception is good in dialogue. So now I'll be going over the gear options at the end of this video, but yeah, we're going to go through the leveling guide here. We'll take you up all the way to level 12 and the best way to do it. So I think the Warlock has a really good start because of Eldritch Blast being so useful early on, and at level 2 we get a nice boost to it, so we get our Eldritch Invocations. Now, Arms of Hadar is pretty nice to stop the target from using reactions, so we'll take that. Armor of Agathis can also be good, but we are getting our extra health from other sources, so it's probably best to not use that. But also Command can be a pretty good one, because Command Drop makes enemies drop their weapons, or Command Grovel can knock enemies prone. Really good. As for the Eldritch Invocations, Agonizing Blast is going to add our Charisma modifier to the damage that we deal with Eldritch Blast, which is really nice. And then Repelling Blast can push people up to 4.5 meters when we hit them with Eldritch Blast. So those 2 are typically the ones that I would recommend taking at level 2. Devil's Sight, however, is also really nice. So this gives you the ability to see in magical and non-magical darkness up to 24 meters. No one else can see in magical darkness like the Warlock can, so that can be pretty good early on to give yourself an edge. At level 3, we get to choose our Pact Boon, and this is where the class kind of comes together. We also get level 2 spells, and if we pick the Fiend, we also get Scorching Ray here, which is a nice damage option that we can take. I like Misty Step, Scorching Ray, and Hold Person the best out of the spells at level Warlock level 3. Cloud of Daggers can be decent too. 44 of slashing is okay. Mirror Image is good too to increase your armor class by 9, which can be good, but every time you get hit, you lose 3. I'm going to go with Scorching Ray because the fire damage is pretty good and useful at this stage of the game, but Hold Person can also work really well, so we'll likely take that next. And even Misty Step is super useful. But as our Pact Boon, we're going to go Pact of the Blade. So this allows us to attack 3 times once we get to level 10. It will give us an extra attack once we get to level 5 of the Warlock, but we also bind our Pact weapon and make it Charisma based. So we do have a decent dexterity, but we'll allow our weapon to be Charisma for the attack rolls, so we'll be much less likely to miss our attacks. Alternatively, you can go with Misty Step and Hold Person. That's a nice exit button there, but we're going to go with the Scorching Ray because it's a pretty decent damage option if you want to go with that early on in the game. Now, we get another cantrip at level 4, so Mage Hand or Friends or Bone Chill. I'm going to go with Bone Chill. As for the spell, Hold Person is really great. And we can even replace a spell and take off Command if we wanted to, and then add in Misty Step, because we took Command with the intention of using that as our crowd control. Now that we have hold person, we don't need it as much as a Misty Step would be beneficial. At level 4, we get to pick ourselves a feat, and I would just say Charisma up to 18 to give yourself that extra point of damage on your Eldritch Blast, alongside increasing our attack rolls with our weapon. So many benefits to that. We also get our Deepen Pact, gives us the extra attack, so now we can attack twice with our melee weapon. As for the spells at level 5, it's hard not to go with Fireball, but Hunger of Hadar is also a really good option, so creatures within it are blind and take damage at the start of the turn, at the end of their turn. And it deals cold and acid damage, which is really nice. I also really like Fireball. I wouldn't recommend taking counter spells, since the Warlock doesn't get that many spell slots. It's not wise to waste them on counter spell. We're going to go with Fireball, but alternatively you can take Hunger of Hadar, and that's likely what we'll take on our next level. At level 5, take Devil's Sight. It's just a no-brainer. Being able to see in darkness is massive, so take that, and then we're going to add into the Ranger now. So we'll add in a level of Ranger. What's nice about the Ranger is they also get an extra attack, so we can stack that with this if we're not on Honor mode, and it gets pretty powerful. So we got to choose our favorite enemy. Now, Ranger Knight will give us heavy armor, so that is pretty good. I would recommend taking the Ranger Knight just for that. Also get skill proficiencies in history. We can go with some other options like Bounty Hunter will give us proficiency in Ensnaring Strike, and that can be okay too. But now for our Natural Explorer, getting a free cast of Find Familiar is awesome. So that is a good one to go with if you wanted that. We can also go with the cold damage resistance or fire damage resistance, which is also really great to have. So I'm going to go with the fire damage resistance because we're going to be seeing a lot of fire. Or actually, we'll go with cold damage resistance. Both of these are really good though. So poison resistance is alright as well, but some races get that built in. Getting Find Familiar without a spell slot is really nice. So you can go Beast Tamer, but we'll go with that there. Now for our I would say Perception, Animal Handling, one of those two. Now, once we get to level 5 of the Archer, that's where things really come together. At level 2, we get to choose our spells here. Hunter's Mark is like Hex, but slashing damage compared to Necrotic, which is a little bit better. Longshot can be okay to increase movement speed by 3 meters. Since we're mostly going to be meleeing, I think that's a pretty good choice. Although, we're not going to be using that a lot for our spells, and you can actually have someone at camp cast that on you, so you don't even have to take it. Fog Cloud, however, will cause blindness and heavily obscures, which is nice because we can pop that down and see in it still. So that's really good because we got the ability to hide in it. Goodberry can be okay. Enhanced Leap can be okay. Speak with Animals is great, but there's so many potions that you can use. And Ensnaring Strike's not bad, but I use your action and bonus action to possibly ensnare a target. It can be good in a pinch, but ideally we would have taken the thing that gives us proficiency in it earlier on. So for that, I'll take Long Strider, just because the movement speed is really good. As for our fighting style, if you're going to be wearing heavy armor, defense. Archery is pretty good too, though. +2 to attack rolls with ranged weapons means you're less likely to miss. So that can be really good. If we're going to be using a shield, so you can even go with this to add 2 damage to it. But +1 armor class, everyone benefits from that, so we'll go with that. And at level 3, we get to choose another spell. I'll take Ensnaring Strike just because it can be a decent to ensnare someone. As for the subclass, we can go with a few different options, but I think the Gloomstalker is our best damage option because we'll get an extra +3 to our initiative, and we get an extra 3 meters movement speed on the first turn of combat, and we can make another attack on the first turn of combat that deals an additional 1d8 damage. We also get Superior Dark Vision, which we already had. Dread Ambush or Hide, so we can hide with a bonus action, as well as use Umbral Shroud to become invisible, and Disguise Self too. So some pretty nice spells there. Gloomstalker really is about that first turn burst damage, so we can attack 3 times, get the extra attack, so that's 4 attacks. Really nice. And then we can use our offhand crossbow to make a 5th attack. Pretty nice. At level 4, we get another ability improvement. We can go with like Alert to give our +5 to initiative and Can't Be Surprised, so we can literally go first every single turn in battle, which is really nice because we get that ambusher from the Gloomstalker. Savage Attacker to make melee attacks reroll their damage die is really nice. And I do think that Charisma is the best way to go. If you use your Hag's Hair on this, take your Dexterity up, but we're going to go with that increase to Charisma. If you had the Hag's Hair again, you can go with like Alert or something. Here is level 10, where we get our extra attack, which stacks if you're not on honor mode with the Warlock's extra attack. So we now got 3 attacks quicker than a fighter would. Pretty cool. We also get Misty Step, so we didn't even have to take that earlier, but it's always good to have a couple uses of Misty Step because this is only once per short rest. So being able to jump out of any place whenever you need to is really massive. Spike Growth is a great spell slot to go with for our second level spells because it's crowd control, super useful to have. Silence can be decent too, makes targets immune to thunder damage, and you can silence a group of enemies. So go with either Spike Growth or Silence for our crowd control option. Now, we can go to level 6. This gives us another favorite enemy and another natural explorer. Or we can continue with the Warlock because we could get something else. So with level 6 Warlock, we can take Hunger of Hadar, which is really nice. And then we also get our Dark One's Own Luck, so it adds a 1d10 to an ability check, which is awesome to have. So we're going to go with that. And then at our final level, since we picked the Fiend, we can actually take the pretty great spell Firewall, or Wall of Fire, which is a crowd control option as well. So 5d8 fire damage, you make a wall, people run through it, they get burnt. It's pretty good. Fire Shield's okay too, but I think Wall of Fire is a great option to go with for this class. And we also get another Eldritch Invocation, so Beguiling Influence is pretty decent, gives you proficiency in Deception and Persuasion, so those are, gives you, I guess, just the proficiencies there, which is nice, because Dialogue is a big part of Baldur's Gate 3, so getting proficiencies in Deception and Persuasion is huge. Fiendish Vigor can be okay, because you get a free cast, 7 temporary health points, but we already have temporary health points. One with Shadow is useless, because we already got it, and Disguise Self's useless, we already got it. Thief of 5 Fates is not that good, it ends up using your spell slots, and you don't want it on that. So I think that the best one to go with is probably the Dreadful Word, Cast Confusion with a Warlock spell slot. Confusion's a great area of effect. It's like Fireball, but for crowd control. You can even go with the Book of Ancient Secrets, which gives us a free cast of Silence. Ray of Sickness, which you probably won't use often, and Chromatic Orb, which you probably won't use that often. But these are free and don't expend any spell slots, so you can go with them, but Dreadful Word to get yourself Confusion, which does take spell slots, is another option. I'm going to go with that, just for extra utility. Not something I would recommend doing because we're going to want to attack as much as possible, but you can get that nice level 1 Chromatic Orb every long rest. So yeah, now as for the equipment, I'm going medium armor at the moment, or clothing I mean, but since we can wear heavy armor, let's wear heavy armor. That gives us a 28 armor class, which is extremely useful. The armor persistence there, so what it does is it gives us resistance, which is a 1d4 bonus to saving throws, and resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. So we'd take half physical damage, which is huge, and then minus all incoming damage by 2. Cloak of Protection, Evasive Shoes, and the Ring of Protection, all for the +1 armor class. It gives us a nice 28 AC, alongside Viconia's Walking Fortress, which will also give advantage on saving throws against spells, and spell attack rolls against us have disadvantage. Really nice. Also using the Helm of Baldur, heals you for 2 points at the start of each turn, +1 armor class. Can't be critical hit. However, I do think it's actually best to go with the Birthright Hat, because that way we can get our Charisma up to 22. If you use the Mirror of Loss, you can get it up to 24. So that's pretty powerful. Even though the hat says only up to 22, the Mirror of Loss actually stacks after that, so it takes it up to 24. Really nice. I'm also using the Helldust Gloves because it gives a +1 to spell attack rolls and spell save DC, which we can use, and it gives us weapon attack damages, deal additional 1 to 6 fire damage. So not only do we get a nice bonus to our spell attack rolls, we also get a bonus to our melee physical damage, so that's awesome. And we also get a +1 to strength saving throws. I'm using the Hellfire hand crossbow and the Firestoker in the offhand. Now, as a ranger, we usually want to use our bow attacks, but that's not really the best use of our spells. It's actually best for us to just Eldritch Blast if we want to use a ranged spell, because Eldritch Blast lets us use our Charisma modifier on top of the damage, and we got a high Charisma modifier. Now, we always want to have our Bind Pack weapon to allow us to use Charisma as our attack roll. However, I'm using the Infernal Rapier, which is gotten as part of Will's quest line. It gives us a +1 to spell save DC, and it uses our Charisma anyways as its attack rolls. And the nice bonus, the reason I picked it is because we get the Planar Ally Cambion. So while the Rangers usually has some pets, we got our pet, I guess. It's a more demon-looking pet. I wouldn't really call that a pet, I guess. More of just a summon in general, but it's nice to be able to get that and drop it down because it gives us a little bit of extra. It'll take hits for us, and that's really what it's best used for. Now, we do got a few different cool spells. Like, we get Raise of Fire, which is from the Hellfire hand, or from the gauntlets there, and that's basically just Scorching Ray. But we have Scorching Ray, Fireball, and Wall of Fire for our fire spells. And the nice thing about Fireball is it's going to always be upcast, so it deals additional damage. That's a 96 damage. But the cool thing with the Scorching Ray is we can actually use our Ranger spell slots to cast that. So it doesn't just have to be our Warlock ones, but the Warlock ones obviously being better just gives us some more options there, which is cool. But yeah, the nice thing about this is we get our 3 attacks and we get all the utility of a Ranger. We could have had that summon there, but I went with a different option just to switch things up. But yeah, this is a pretty powerful build because the Warlock extra attack stacks. Now, I wouldn't overly recommend it if you're not playing on honor, if you're playing on honor mode, because then you wouldn't get that extra attack, and it's probably just better to add in a different class. But that is the Ranger Warlock Multiclass Build Guide from Baldur's Gate 3. Thank you so much for watching, and if you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below, and I'll see you in the next video.